Stadia podcast, episode number 63, the longest running Stadia podcast this side of Google Maps. You're joining myself, Chris, one of your hosts, alongside a very special guest, joining us all the way from the North Pole, Mr. Rock himself, all the way over from Stadia Rokks channel. You may recognise him from the community, but Rock, we'll get to your introduction in just a moment, but you're obviously looking fantastically festive. You've got your Santa hat on, you've got your branded merchandise on there as well. Is it Christmas branded specific, this, or is it just...
It's not, no. I bought it back in the summer because I knew I would need to wear it come the winter.
Of course, it is. Well, I mean, in the UK, yeah, you could wear it all year round.
All year round.
So looking very, very festive. And below you, the man of many pixels as well, joining us this week, looking the least festive of us all. It's often known that Richie is also known as Ebenezer Scrooge, or also the Grinch. He's not really. He loves Christmas.
I do actually really like Christmas, but it's the Christmas Day bit I like, the spending time with family and friends. The rest of it I don't actually care that much about.
Wow.
But by next week's show, there will be some more decor going on. I just haven't got round to it yet.
Get around and saw it. But obviously, yes, you're joining us this week for what is the Sounds of Stadia podcast, where we wrap up and condense all these Stadia and gaming news into about an hour or so show. As we mentioned, we've got the lovely Rock joining us this morning in Tom's stead. If you've not heard already, Tom is in the middle of his house move. We've been talking about it for what feels like the entirety of our podcast running. I think all 63 episodes we've mentioned he's moving into a new house. He's done it, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, Tom. You got the keys last week. He's moving in. So in and amongst that, obviously his podcasting with us will probably take a break for a short while, just while he gets his internet sorted out. We all know what a faff on that can be, getting your internet providers in and making sure the speed's good enough and everything that goes with it. Plus decorating, setting up a room, moving your whole computer rig and your furniture. And anyone who's gone through a house move before will know the pain he's currently enduring. So send Tom some love over on Twitter if you haven't done so already. And this is episode 63 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Before we get into the show, because we do have a great show lineup, not only do we have a fantastic guest joining us, we're going to talk about the Stadia Hangout event that went ahead with the wrestler Xavier Woods and the lovely Katie Wilson as well. We got some more pro games for December. They just keep adding more to the Santa bag, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to struggle getting that down the chimney this Christmas. And we've got some new games and new partnerships to talk about as well. But before we get into all that, let's do a little bit of housekeeping just to make sure you are in the loop with everything that goes on here. Remember, you can support us a little bit further over at patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia if you wish to get the post show early. We're going to do a great post show this week as well. Rock and Richie are partaking in the very first Stadia 20 questions mini game we're going to be running. So they don't know what it's about yet because I've not told them, but it's Stadia related and they have 3 questions to guess what Stadia thing we're talking about. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, it goes live every Friday as well for everybody else. And if you're new to the channel, give us a like and a subscribe because, Rock, you'll know all too well, it helps the channel out, it helps the channel grow, helps you reach new people and new audiences. So please do that. Couple of final points. Richie, we played some more Guilt. We've recorded some more Guilt. It's a spooky, scary game.
I need to actually give a quick apology for this episode, Guilt episode 3. We were about 4 hours into recording when we were in episode 3, and it was only when I started editing we realised how bad the audio was at points. So I'm sorry for that. There's nothing I could do to fix it. It will be better from episode 4 going forward, so please stay with us.
Everybody understands. It's the way the internet and the world of recording goes. Touch wood, we've not lost anything. And all of our fledgling podcasting careers, Rock, while we've got you on, as a fellow podcaster, ever lost anything completely? Any shows that have just gone in the bank and you've lost to the ether of the cloud or anything? Hit delete by accident, had mute on the whole time, anything like that happen to you?
Yeah, I have had some of the worst tech failures ever. And in fact, even yesterday on Cloudburst, I set the 2-minute intro off and we sat there and bobbing our heads and a minute in, Avery said, "Rock, you haven't gone live." So you know what happens to us all.
It certainly does. And while we've got you here as well, talking about the trials and tribulations of podcasting, would you like to run us through who you are in the Stadia community and where people may recognise your amazing radio voice from?
Even without the hat on. Well, thank you very much, guys. Thank you so much for inviting me on. But I love the show, and it's a real privilege. So, yeah, I'm Rock, a.k.a. Adam. You can find me on Twitter at Stadia Rokks. I have I don't know, the three shows that I run every week, which are Stadia Rokks Live on a Wednesday, Rockstars at Night on a Friday, and Cloudburst on a Saturday. And then I do a collab with the legendary Clive Illenden on a Tuesday on Twitch, which is our tribute to older gamers, being in my 50s as I am, which is known as Generation X Retro Gaming Club. So most of the days of the week I'm doing Summit. For a fella of my age, Chris and Richie, that takes a lot of stamina and not too few synaptogens as well.
Well, I was just thinking there when you said about because I didn't know specifically how your age bracket fit in, but if you were of a younger or different generation, would your podcast be called like Generation Millennial? Is the X just perfectly shortened for your podcast?
It would be called Generation Down the Pub, and there probably wouldn't be one, if I'm honest.
The pub.
Chris, we're technically millennials, Chris.
I know. I don't know how, but yeah, we are.
People think millennials is actually a generation younger than it is, I often find, where most millennials are now in like the late 20s, early 30s.
Yes.
That's where
this is very true. Now, I was born in the 60s, believe it or not. In fact, I was closer to World War II, I think, than I am now to when I was born, which is a bizarre concept. But there you go.
There's so many weird concepts like that. We've actually mentioned it on previous shows. Was it 2 weeks ago, Richie? We were saying about the thing that absolutely baffles me is that Oxford University is older than the Aztec Empire. Like, it's like it existed. It was founded in I'm not going to put a year on it because I know for a fact it'll be wrong and they'll call me out in the comments. But if you go look it up, the Oxford University was founded for a long, long time, and then the Aztec Empire. But we think of the Aztec Empire as just like such an old thing because it was just a lost to myth and legend because it was in the middle of the South American rainforest and such. But yeah, look it up. That is a
fantastic fact. That one's stored in my absolutely.
But that can be a whole other podcast. Yeah, unto itself. But you, ladies and gentlemen, are here for the Sounds of Stadia podcast, where we talk about all things Stadia and the Stadia community and gaming and games. We've had a fantastic week this week so far. And we'd like to just cap off this show with another big community thing that we are doing this upcoming week, and that is the Game Awards. So last year, me and Richie gave our Game of the Year nominations and awards, and we got a bit of shit for it because there was no Stadia games in the conversation, but we were just taking a week off for Christmas, as you do. But this year, however, the Game Awards are going live this Thursday UK time. You'll have to look it up because the time zones are just complex.
It's technically 12 a.m. on the Friday, so it's midnight between the Thursday and Friday.
So you need to stay up very late Thursday night, essentially, to get on with us. But
it's technically the Friday. I don't know about you, but View Cinema often, if they're doing a midnight showing, put it technically on the wrong day.
Yes.
I
wish they wouldn't do that. 12:01.
The hell out of me. It's like because it's actually just the wrong information.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're showing up. Yeah, it really, really is. Yeah. So to keep it straight and simple, if you are in the UK and you would love to join us for a Stadia community watch along of the Game Awards, you need to get the Red Bull in, get the energy drink in, get your Monster Steel Jam sponsorships in, and join us late on Thursday night. This Thursday, we're probably going to go live probably about 11:30. But you are looking at Thursday the 10th of December UK time. If you are in the States, obviously that's probably 8 o'clock in the afternoon for you in the evening. You'll be able to have your full day at work, go about your business, and then join us because we do have some wonderful guests joining us as well. We've got from Stadia Source, we've got Mr. Dan Wheeler waving the UK flag as well. He's going to be up with us with our energy drink. We've got Mr. Avery as well, host of the Stadia Source Roundtable podcast, joining us stateside. We've also got the wonderful Eddie joining us from Eddie Player One's channel as well over in Toronto, Canada. He's going to be joining us again. Perfect time zone for him. And also the wonderful Mr. Chase from Stadia Talk TSI podcast and your very own Cloudburst podcast. Actually, quite a few of them are, yeah.
3 of those, three of those 4 on my show.
We pilfered half of your panel to join us for the Stadia community watch along.
Sounds of Stadia.
But the reason we wanted to get them in is because 1, they'll be more awake than us. 2, if me and Richie pass out from tiredness, they can just take over the whole show. We'll just fade out into the background. But we'd love to see you there. We'd love to see you in the chat because there are a couple of Stadia games up for nominations this year. We've mentioned pre-show Richie, Doom Eternal's in there, Spiritfarer, and I'm sure there's a bunch more as well.
The Game Awards is as well. It's quickly becoming another one of them events like an E3 where there's always new trailers and stuff drop. So I'm hoping to see a bit of a Stadia presence.
There is. They've made a few big announcements already. We know Tom Holland's going to be there, potentially showing off an Uncharted trailer for those PlayStation fans out there. They've announced Gal Gadot. It's also there. So probably some Wonder Woman related things somehow. She's probably in Fortnite, something like that. And then for me though, more importantly, the Swedish chef from the Muppets is going to be there, which I love the fact that Jeff Keighley gets the Muppets in. It was like it was Pepe the Shrimp. Yeah, last year they did Untitled Beaker Game as like a joke, as an Untitled Goose Game, and it was hilarious and as whimsical as it is. I love the Muppets. My favourite Christmas movie is Muppets Christmas Carol. So yeah, I've so much time for them, and hopefully they're going to announce some kind of Muppets game. Well, Muppets in Fortnite probably, something along those lines. But definitely stay tuned, check that. Obviously, Rock, you were more than welcome to join us for that. But as you've mentioned before, sleep is very important, and I do not blame. As soon as we announced it, I am already having regrets about staying up on Thursday night that late. But
I think we accidentally talked ourselves into it, Chris.
That's usually the way it goes here at Sounds.
Well, I've had my mug of cocoa, boys. Dressing gown on, put the cat out, and heading up to my single room, no doubt.
I do not blame you for that, but yeah, sleep is very important. So that's a wrap up of all of our announcements this week. We'd love to see you over there. We probably won't be doing a Thursday night game stream on account of streaming for 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. Have a little Santa nap in amongst all that, but we'd love to see you over there. And before we get into the news and everything this week as well, Rock, actually perfect timing for having you on the show, because I know for a fact you've been playing Immortals Phoenix Rising, which is obviously came out this past week on Stadia. I for one am saving myself until Christmas to play it, because I'm currently knee deep in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'm about 40 hours in. I've probably got another 100 to go. But I don't want to start another open world game until then. But I know you've jumped into it and played it. So me and Richie, and I'm sure the rest of our audience, are really curious of what your first impressions are, how you've been enjoying the game, how it stacks up in comparison to not only Valhalla but Odyssey as well, obviously with it being in ancient Greece. So yeah, we'd love to hear your first thoughts on that and impressions.
So yeah, I've been playing Ubisoft Relay, really. I've been passing the baton. So I started with Watch Dogs Legion back in October, and then I went straight to Valhalla, and I played that right up until the launch of Immortals. So I'm absolutely adoring it, Chris and Richie. It is, if you take, and I never played Zelda Breath of the Wild, but I am reliably informed that it is no less an influence on Phoenix. So if you take Zelda Breath of the Wild and you shoehorn it into the Assassin's Creed, certainly the more recent ones, Odyssey, Origins, and Valhalla, shoehorn it into the engine, you get Phoenix Rising. And it is a perfect combination. You would never have believed that they could merge those two things together in such a beautiful way. I am absolutely loving it. It's right up there. Valhalla was definitely massive thumbs up for me, much more than Watch Dogs Legion. I struggled with Watch Dogs for a number of reasons, not least of which the awful English accents and the awful English acting. It just seems to be a thing with Ubisoft. English acting is an issue. That the White Elk in Valhalla is by far the worst voiced character that I think I've yet to have experienced this year. But anyway, moving over to Phoenix, it's a beautiful game. What it benefits from, which I think we'll see more of this, by the way, as we move into next gen and less hard drive space. So not the case at all with cloud gaming, but certainly you'll see it because all games permeate all platforms still, is this reliance on the illustrative design, because it means that they can have reduced textures. And by having reduced textures, they can have bigger games, take up less footprint. So this is one of those. This is the first time I think we've seen Ubisoft do anything like this on that basis, which allows you to run it. And on Stadia, it's at a much higher resolution than a lot of the games are, because they can reduce the textures down. And that really plays nicely. So it's a beautiful, smooth, easy to play game. I'm playing it on normal difficulty, but I think you could go up another level and you just have a bit more fun with it. But it is, by and large, it's you go from puzzle to puzzle to puzzle across this huge map, massive open world map, solving these little puzzles that aren't particularly difficult to solve. I haven't found one yet that stumped me. I think there's a couple of them that you will need to progress a little further in the game before you can go back and do it, because it needs I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but there's certain things that you might want to achieve and collect before you get to that point.
Classic
So,
video game.
bag it, come back. Yeah, exactly. Classic stuff. But it looks great. It plays great. It has an amazing score. The opening theme music, I've had it almost permanently on. I adore this beautiful music. But yeah, it's a massive thumbs up for me. Definitely one of my favorite games of the year. Ubisoft really, really knocked the ballpark out and then brought it back and knocked the ball out with it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And I think part of me playing through Valhalla, I do miss that sun-baked Greek horizon as well. I think Odyssey was so good because it was just so rich in bright, gorgeous, like
Vivid.
just gorgeous like views and everything. And I'm a massive fan of Greek mythology. The UK, England, and stuff, and Norway don't lend. Although Norway, some beautiful scenes in there as well, but it's very much in a darker palette. So I'm glad this is getting great praise, and I'm a massive fan of Ubisoft. But yeah, the textures, the art style, I think, is one thing that it is a slight swerve from traditional Ubisoft. They very much have a cookie cutter, copy and paste look of their games. I think everything from the last decade's you can tell it's a Ubisoft game just by looking at it. Division across to anything, it's very much cut and paste, which isn't a bad thing, but
I like the fact that they're starting to experiment with the format a bit, and you can tell the roots of this game was in Odyssey's design documents probably, and a lot of ideas that they cut because it probably didn't fit the tone of the game and stuff. I'm like, well, we've got a load of stuff here. Let's just build a game around these stuff. And it's like, and give its own distinct styling. It's like,
it also deviates because it has these two narrators, Zeus and Prometheus, which they were in the demo, as you know. So a lot of the stuff. I mean, I think when you play the game, you realize just how much of a huge intro to the game the demo is. I mean, a lot of the game is right there in terms of the mechanics and the sort of outside the story and so on. So having those two guys is amazing. I don't get to hear them that well. I have to have subtitles on anyway. This isn't to do with age. I can't focus on the game and listen and stuff.
I always play the game with subtitles on.
Yeah, I watched everything I watch on TV. I put because you realise just how much of the story you miss when you think you're listening to it with subtitles on. Then, crikey, I didn't know that's what that character was called, and there's some stuff that you get out of it. Same with this. So that's happening, but it's kind of washing over me. But it is clever. And there's some lovely dialogue and cutscenes, and their editing of that is kind of anime-esque, and it's just a real. I mean, I think you hit it there, Richie. It's a deviation, and it's great to see them taking that risk. And I think it's paid off. And the reviews have been outstanding. I mean, they've been 4 out of 5, 9 out of 10 across the board.
Yeah, actually, off the back of all that, we can make a segue into one of our Patreon questions this week, actually, as well, because Ashley wrote in, just like you can, over on patreon.com/SoundsOfStadia with your questions for the show. And she's asking, is Ubisoft Plus worth it for Stadia players at this point? So I think off the back of Immortals Phoenix Rising and the massive influx we've also had with the likes of Watch Dogs Legion, and then we know we've got Far Cry on the horizon, and we've got Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ubisoft have supported Stadia more than anyone, in my opinion, and they've done it fantastically. And I think with Ubisoft Connect now out and your save files jumping between platforms as well, we are coming to this kind of area now where if you play a Ubisoft game, you can play it wherever generally makes you the happiest or the most convenient to play on. And I think Rock, you've played all of them evidently, Watch Dogs all the way through to Valhalla. How are you sitting with the imminent arrival of Ubisoft Plus? Do you think it's worth it, or?
Yeah, so I genuinely thought that we were going to get Ubisoft. Well, of course, back in the day, it was Uplay Plus, and then they rebranded to Ubisoft Plus and Ubisoft Connect. It's a little bit confusing, but that is the kind of infrastructure that connects the games together. Ubisoft Plus is the subscription service. So I thought that we, Stadia, were going to get Ubisoft Plus before Watch Dogs Legion launched. So I went out and dutifully subscribed, because the amount is irrelevant. You subscribe through Ubisoft, and this will be the case, unless they do a deal, which is still potentially could happen. But you basically pay your, I think it's about £13, UK pounds, $15 to Ubisoft, and then you have access to Ubisoft Plus wherever, whether it's PC, Amazon Luna, and of course in the not too distant future, Ubisoft Plus on Stadia. So I thought, great, I'm going to go and subscribe anyway because it's going to happen. And then at the very least, if it doesn't happen, I can play Watch Dogs Legion on PC, which is kind of what I did. So we're still waiting. And the answer obviously is it valuable? It will be when it happens. And we're still waiting. And we were told it would be this year. And we were told in a blog post a little while ago, they revealed the rainbow of Ubisoft games that are coming to Stadia. A lot of them have already come in that time frame, but they specifically said by the holidays 2020, which, at that point it could have meant Thanksgiving, or it could have meant Halloween, or it could have meant Christmas.
Chinese
they've
New
all
Year
gone.
At this point.
Chinese New Year, exactly.
Right in the New Year.
Yeah, Brexit week or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's don't go there. So it's got to be by Christmas. So my guess is in the next 2 weeks we'll be good to go. It is incredible value. It doesn't matter ultimately whether you wait until it comes to Stadia, because the subscription will apply instantly. And out of the box, and we are yet to know the complete range or library of games that will make it across from the current 120 odd that are accessible via PC. We can make a fairly educated guess that a lot of the older ones won't, because of course they were specifically built for PC, so a keyboard and mouse, and you wouldn't want to play them anyway now. But I think, we're going to definitely see what's already on Stadia. So they're already going to be in the same library. And we know Watch Dogs and Valhalla and Phoenix are there. They're the key ones. Far Cry 6, which is now being kicked back into the spring of next year, sadly. So we won't be seeing that one quite so soon. But nonetheless, the beauty is that, you if you've already bought them, then you've already bought them, and I'm sorry, but they ain't going to give you a refund. So if you've already bought those games, then I would struggle to tell you that it's worth subscribing, because you will get maybe Assassin's Creed Origins, which is one of the best ones, and Assassin's Creed 2, I think potentially is going to show up. Watch Dogs 1, I think it's going to make its way across Watch Dogs 2.
Especially if we go off pricing we've seen so far, like Far Cry and stuff dropping around about the £10 mark. I would expect things like Origins and Watch Dogs to follow a similar suit.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, it is that value proposition of, is the subscription worth it if you just want one specific title? Or if, like me, you're a massive fan of Ubisoft across the board,
same.
The value's great, and everything's in the cloud on Stadia anyway. So we should probably caveat as well that you don't need the Pro subscription to take out Ubisoft Plus. They've already clarified that you can keep that separate. So essentially, if you're a big Ubisoft fan, you get the Ubisoft Plus subscription, and you can play the games anywhere you want with Stadia, and that's crazy. Thing you can play Valhalla, Watch Dogs, all the back catalogue, Immortals, Phoenix Rising, Far Cry next year. What's that? What the Riders Republic's out in like February, right?
Yes, February. That's coming as well.
More game. All of them for less than £15 a month on the tech you've
it's
already
amazing
got.
value.
Crazy.
And quite honestly, if money gets a bit tight, or you've played all those games, then you just pause the subscription. That's fine. Just like Stadia, you can go back in 3 months' time and resubscribe and pick up where you left off. So there's
you'll
huge
inevitably
benefit.
have a better version as well, because Stadia is going to evolve over time. So you're not going to have to think in if you like lapse for a long time, like we're talking like even a few years, if you come back, you're still going to get the best version available without having to go and think, oh, should I get a PS5 now? We're 3 years in, they're a bit shit. There's a PS5 Slim out, there's another Xbox out. Like, do I need to invest, or do I just resub and I go again? It's nice, and it's so convenient.
For me, I always wanted and still want to play mainly on Stadia with my Ubisoft Plus account, because it's always going to be the optimum experience. It still is the only cloud gaming platform that offers 4K as an option. So that gives me the added fidelity that a game like Valhalla cries out for. It's lavish and beautiful in detail, as is, of course, Phoenix. So that for me, and I was a little bit miffed that they still haven't released it or given us a date, but I'm holding back. I've decided that certainly Watch Dogs Legion, I'll pick that back up again when Stadia finally do bring Ubisoft Plus. I just noticed you got a little controller on your tree. Look at that. It's a thing of beauty.
I did have the Founders one higher up, but it kept falling out.
Oh, no, don't do that.
You know the way trees are very fragile anyway. I mean, I can't even get a start to stay on the top without the whole thing flopping over, so...
That one works better with your colour scheme anyway.
Yeah, the Founders one's very hard to see. But magical time, Ubisoft Plus, imminent, we suspect, unless they come out with a delay, which again, at the time of recording, they've got, 25 days to get this sorted, so...
One of the value propositions we haven't touched on is it gives you the opportunity to bounce between platforms. So you could be playing on your PS5 and then, I'm going away on business or something for a week. I'm going to take a Chromecast to get in the hotel TV, and now I'm playing on Stadia and just pick up from where I left off.
Or your phone or your laptop. It's crazy. And I think Stadia... from my point of view, I think it's really turned a corner in this last month or so. I think we always knew with the influx of games, it's great, but now we can back up everything we've been saying about the tech, like us three, for over a year now. We've been saying the tech works, and it's getting to a point now where I really, really feel, with all the promotions and all the free Premier kits going out to every man and his dog, even if if you're worried about getting a lump of coal in your stocking this Christmas, guarantee you there's a Premier edition sitting there somewhere because there's that many of them going out in the wild. But in terms of the games, now we are having these conversations that are in line with, you want to play Cyberpunk, you want to play Jedi Fallen Order, Valhalla, any of these big titles, bar the typical Fortnite, Call of Duty, and still FIFA. Let's have our FIFA update, Richie, while I'm on the topic of that. FIFA's now been out for 56 days everywhere else, and we're yet to hear. We know it's coming, winter, but very ambiguous. But I just want to play FIFA, basically, on the move. But and why not?
That's why I jumped into Football Manager recently, because I had an urge to play a football game. It's like, FIFA's not here, and I refuse to buy it at this point.
Yeah, I mean...
unless it comes out as an absolute bargain, when we're already, 3 months into the season, it's kind of like...
Yeah.
Where's the game?
But I did genuinely think the conversation has now really took a turn, and I think there's a lot of stories this week that have really just kind of elevated it. I think we've had one of the best events we've seen them host. It's gone down really well with the audience and the wider spectrum, and more importantly, the reach of it. And we're going to talk about all that this week. But before we do that, we do need to introduce and get started. In Tom's absence, Rock, if you would do us the honours of introducing the
super sexy special Stadia Stories segment, aka the news.
The news, indeed.
The news.
Oh, see, Richie just slow the news after that. Yeah. But I did get my animation right this week, everybody. You'll be happy to hear. Because, again, I did have a brief moment of panic. If you fast forward 10 seconds, there is a moment where as soon as I throw it over to Rock, I go, quick, where's the animation?
I think long-time listeners might appreciate it, because I don't think we've ever really got the news in sync. But
no.
60 odd episodes in.
We'll just take it in turns by saying the news. But like you said, we are long into the show already. So if you're still with us, ready for the news story segment, because there's loads of stuff happened this week. A lot of game talk, but more importantly, as we alluded to just then, we had a big event. It's weird because the way these events work, Stadia just kind of stealth shadow drop things now, from games to announcements to reveals. They just kind of just dig around in the Santa bag and go, right, what are we doing this week? Oh, a Connect. Oh, Hangout. Oh, a good stuff event. A random blog post. Like, this is what we're just used to it now. But yes, we did have WWE's very own Xavier Woods and famed actor Katie Wilson host an event this past week where essentially they showcased crowd choice, crowd play with a couple of new announcements that went out into the live. And I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good getting some new faces in. I like the way they're kind of not necessarily putting all the eggs in one basket with one particular streamer, which I think when you're as big as Google and YouTube, you have like a vast array of people to lean on and choose from. And I can't imagine anyone you go to with the opportunity to showcase something, they're going to turn it down, right? Unless you are a dead and hardened Stadia hater, why would you turn down the opportunity to showcase a brand new feature on this platform?
If Google reached out to them.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, if I was at Google, I would be very tempted to just go, look, here you go, here's a Premier Edition, stream on that, and then actually give it a go.
But yeah, we'll get into the kind of the reach this now has going into the rest of the schedule. But we got some big announcements mixed in with the game. So to kickstart the kind of the Google Hangouts event, or Stadia Hangouts event off, Richie, your first take on it. How did you find the event overall?
I enjoyed it. I think we've been critical sometimes before, especially with the good stuff event, of there being only like 5 minutes of content there, like across 3 days. So I think if we want to do regular events and they're getting criticism for the length of them, actually going, here's a game, we're going to talk about the game, here's a trailer, but then we're also going to have some Let's Play stuff and get the community involved, which I thought worked very, very well for Stadia when things like they're playing like Bomberman and Dead by Daylight and stuff like that, and they could just crowd play, come join us sort of thing. I thought it showcased it so well. So you're not only giving the new information, the new trailer drops, you're also giving people a taste of what the platform's all about.
Yeah, it's like here's the new thing, and here's it literally running in practice. Like, this is how it works. So yeah, anyone, I think, especially because the reach of this is intended to get out to more people than your Stadia, your Stadia crowd, I guess. I think the reach and the fact that they showcase it there and then lends a lot of validity to how easy it is to run and how it works and how people can get involved straight away. It's great to see. How about you, Rock? What were your takeaways on the event?
Oh, I thought it was amazing. I thought my actual feeling on the day was, at last Stadia has come of age. And there were 3 things, I think, in the event that for me signified a massive change. And some of them are tiny. One of them was that it was the first time they've actually scheduled an event in YouTube. So
you are right.
we actually knew when it was, whereas before we've been like hitting refresh and, F5, it's not on the channel, what's going on, all that stuff.
For us is the first time they scheduled an event, we didn't.
Yes.
Yeah. The irony.
Second one was that it was live. So, normally these are pre-recorded, and I think this, to me, shows a gradual release and an understanding in their marketing team of what it is that they're selling. Because I think up until now, they've been very nervous about it. It's gone through probably standard Google marketing and the legals, and they've had to send it out weeks in advance, and they've checked it over and gone, yep, that's okay. They finally trusted it to go live, which is a massive signal for me. And the third, as you've already alluded to, Richie, was the time. I think it went over 2 hours in the end. We've been used to things that lasted 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes if we're lucky. And then we come away feeling empty. It's massive build-up, real hype. And then, was that it? They drop games through, every so often they go, and, oh, by the way, here's something new that's coming. And we were like, I know we're going to touch on it. So stunning. And actually looks really good as well. So for me, it was a massive coming of age. It felt like an E3 event. It felt, funny enough, like one of the big Ubisoft events, the big live Ubisoft events where, they trust streamers and they do drops and they get you playing and stuff. It worked really, really well.
Yeah. I think it was a very unique to Stadia approach as well. I can't see like that sort of approach working for other platforms, maybe something like Luna in the future, but with things like the showing crowd play, crowd choice, all these Stadia unique features, but again, live.
Yeah, it's not possible anywhere else. Like, that's the irony. We've said many, many times, the best thing about getting people to kind of switch on to Stadia and what it is as a platform and how it works is get them to try it out. Everyone who's tested it, and you just have to search for Stadia on Twitter to see how many people go, got my Premier Edition free with YouTube Premium, tested it out, works flawlessly. So surprised, so amazed. Played Doom Eternal for however long and it runs smooth as butter. They absolutely love that. This is probably a live event that people get to do it there and then. If you want to play with your favourite streamer, the link, this is the first time they showcase that link right there. Click it to jump into the game with them on a desktop browser, obviously, but you couldn't do that on PlayStation.
No.
Oh, here's the new game. Let's go test out this online function of Ghost of Tsushima. Go turn on your console. Go find this link. Search for the
weird things that Sony messed up. Their party system's terrible now.
But yeah, click to play. It's in the title. And back to what you said, Rock, there about it being live, it gives a lot of trust to the audience, but in a way I actually think it humanizes them a little bit, where mistakes will happen and shit will go wrong, but that's life. That's why we adhere ourselves to streamers and YouTubers. We watch them for their personalities. They are human. They're like us. They play games. They mess up. They swear. They do like loads of like daft quirky things. I think JV Woods like licked his controller at one point or kissed it or something. It's like it's little things like that you wouldn't get in a scripted pre-recorded thing because, like you said, it would go through the whole Google marketing thing. They'd be like, "Oh, you can't say that. You can't do that. You can't reply to that comment in the chat. No, that would be seen as distasteful for the brand." And you just let them be human and what they were. And
I think that's the key there, Chris, because if you look at the competitors in not so much the consoles, because I think they've been around long enough that they've got their face of the brand. But Stadia has gone ahead now of its cloud gaming competitors because it literally now feels like a human living, breathing thing, whereas the others just feel like a platform where you can play games. So, they've made that leap, in my estimation. You can see if you watch the past year where they fumbled around trying to find what it is that they want to be and how they want to communicate themselves. And sometimes they've made strides forward, sometimes they've taken steps back. But these last few weeks, I think they've absolutely hit it on the nail. I don't know. I genuinely don't know whether it's because they brought a new team in, whether they've gone to an outside agency. But whatever's happened, it's really working well.
I think part of it is probably the fact that the 1 year old, this is Google's first real venture into gaming, so that they have got experienced people in the team, but as a team, they're not experienced, and they've probably just
that's a good way of putting it.
Criticism.
Yeah. I think that's really well put.
And finding how's best for them to do what they want to do.
Yeah. I do think back to we're saying about making them human. I did actually have like a really good laugh out loud moment with we have a little mini segment called Only on Stadia where shit can only go wrong or be funny when it's only on Stadia. And the one for me was when they were showcasing the Outcasters, which we're going to talk about in a moment. Katie Wilson, when they threw it out to the chat and went, "Vote now for your favorite special feature," and everyone voted for Vortex. And they come back, she went, and the poll is finished, it's over, and Push won. or Wall won. And everyone in the chat's going, Vortex won.
No, we didn't see it there.
We demand a recount, count the election fraud, all of that kind of stuff. And then fast forward to another game, everyone voted for Vortex again, hashtag justice for Vortex. And once again, she was like, the wall has won, or Push has won again. Everyone really likes Push, and the chat exploded with, "No, we don't. We all voted for Vortex."
I had a feeling the second time round she'd realised the mistake and was just trolling the audience.
But you think she was?
But this is where do we know if it was a mistake, or is this like the irony of like only on Stadia would you launch a new thing and then it's not calculated? Because we found it with Dead by Daylight.
Playing games, there's a lot of stuff going on. She said the wrong thing.
Yeah, possibly. Because then we saw that with Dead by Daylight, Richie, where you could spam the chat with when you pick the killer. If you wanted you to be like, I don't know, the ghost. I don't even know if that is a killer in there. You could, the nurse. We'll go with the nurse. You can literally just copy and paste the nurse and go paste into the chat, and that skews the vote because it just picks up how many times that word's in the chat.
Right. So it doesn't exclude you for one vote.
No,
you
it didn't. It didn't when we tried it. Yeah. So if you just sit there with Control V. Your vote is getting the win, so
you can limit the rate, can't you?
Yeah, I presume so at some point. But again,
in the chat, full stop, you can set it so that you. I mean, if you
go into swear words and tags.
Yeah, you can, and you can say slow it down, so it actually prevents people from repeating themselves so often and so on. But yeah, I mean,
but what I did love to see with this one is the option buttons just show up in the chat. Like, there's your 4 icons, just a pull, just a quick tap tap tap. You could do it in seconds. Your vote's been cast. Move on, and it was just like seamless and it worked great.
Go back to Dead by Daylight as well now to see if that is just an update from Stadia or if it's game specific. Because Dead by Daylight is typing. With Outcasters, you got a click box. Once you click, that was it.
No, Dead by Daylight still type in because they did it later in the stream, and it was still you had to type in for the murderers, the killers. So it's still there. But again, I think in a summary, great overall. We had a great time, and I think doing the announcements gradually in between game streams, it did. You said like what you said, Rock. It felt like an event. It felt like I left satiated on Stadia content. Yes, they were only playing Bomberman, which I've seen. Yes, they're playing Dead by Daylight, which I've seen and played. Hell, they're all pro games, right? All of the games that showcase are pro games, which is great if you've got your subscription. But moreover, so it felt like a long event. I didn't just watch a 5-minute video and then bounce and go about my day. It took up a chunk of my afternoon, talking and playing and enjoying and discussing with the community and seeing people have fun and laughs and play games. And I think more of this needs to happen. So I'd be happy to get these posts back. But yeah, overall, great.
It created a massive wave as well, because of course, I don't know if we're going to cover this in a second, but they then said, oh, and by the way, for the next X amount of days, you can watch these huge game streamers doing what we've just done with these games and have a chance to play with them as well. Which again was, for me, Stadia saying, we now trust you, gamers. We now understand you.
Yeah, we might as well touch on that then. Yeah, so one of the things they did announce after the kind of pinhole the whole event into one thing was YouTube creators. They've reached out to them. They've got some channels, big and small, basically throughout, probably now through, I think, the rest of the week. I think it's a whole week event, showcasing all of the games that are revealed, crowd choice and everything like that. And I think, again, I know some people in the community would love them to reach out to us. I know me and Richie, and I'm sure you, Rock, would love Stadia to reach out to us, but we've got to appreciate we're not on the scale these people are.
Well, we're not even part of the partnership program on YouTube yet, because we haven't hit 1,000 subs
Well,
yet.
yeah, exactly. So you've got to look at this, I think, which a lot of people have took a step back now from the initial announcement. Yes, when they put all the names up, it's like, we would love to be there, which I'm sure you would as well, Rock. But the reality is, we don't have 88,000 followers. We don't, even like the biggest Stadia channels are just pushing 10 now. So the reality is, this is aimed at getting it out to a bigger audience. So just, yeah, reserve your judgment. This is definitely a marketing move, and I think it's the right marketing move for getting it out into the unknown masses about what Stadia is and showcasing it with the benefit of their favourite content creators from a variety of audiences.
Sorry, Chris. I think that's the point, though. I don't think, to be fair, it's even necessarily the fact that we're all minnows. I think it's the fact that we already serve largely a Stadia committed community. And we're all massively, and have been for some time into Stadia. And the people that we tend to have listened to our shows or watch our shows are already Stadia subscribers, exactly. Whereas these guys, not the case. Very, very few of their audience, just happens to be lots of them, have, some of them have never seen Stadia. Some of them have probably got kind of negative vibes towards cloud gaming. So for them to be able to say in a kind of word of mouth type way, look at me, I'm playing Stadia, it hasn't eaten me up. And, it is actually fun. And look, you can see that it's there's no lag and stuff. So that's appealing to a whole new audience. So they won't come to even the big guys, even the big 10K guys, because their audience are already committed customers. And this is, as you've rightly said, a marketing move. It's not to, be back.
These big streamers, it's not even, look, I'm playing Stadia, hasn't eaten me up. It's, I'm playing Stadia, hasn't eaten me up. Come join me.
Yes.
You can play with me now. You don't have to download the game. Get your Google account, go to stadia.com. There you go. You're in.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Great point. And,
amazing feature.
I would love to see this just to continue. Get out to the bigger people. Just honestly get it in their hands, because this is where the tide starts to turn. When people go, "Ooh, the content creators I love are playing it," and now you're telling me I can just get Cyberpunk and get a free Chromecast Ultra and a free controller to play anywhere. And if while I wait for that to be delivered, I can play it on my existing tech. And this is the marketing and the message really kind of turning the screw into saying, yeah, all of you people out there who didn't manage to secure PS5s and Xbox Series X's, it doesn't matter, because you can play the latest games right now on your existing hardware. And that's what they've been preaching for a year, but I think now they're preaching to the right type of people and getting that reach, that cast that net out to, at the end of the day, gamers. People watch these YouTube creators for gaming, so it makes total sense. And we'll be there to answer the call whenever they do finally get around to it, Rock. I'm sure they just don't have our numbers at this point. That's all it is.
They'll come and knock in. They'll come and knock in.
One day. But yeah, moving on to the next part of the show then. They, in and amongst playing games and content creation and such, they also announced a bunch of new titles, some of which we suspected, some of which caught us completely off guard by surprise. But the biggest launch probably of the night was Outcasters, from the team over at Splash Damage. And we know their Twitter account have been winding the community up something chronic about when they're going to release this game. We suspected it was going to be soon, and as suspected, it did arrive as a Stadia Pro game, adding to the 6 already titles that we already had, taking us up to a grand total of 8 games for December now, which is crazily generous. But Outcasters, me and Richie jumped in and played it on Thursday. Had an absolute great time with it. All in all, though, it seems to have gone down a success with everybody. Rock, have you managed to jump in and check out Outcasters yet?
I've played it a little bit. I mean, it's been like a huge shot in the arm for the community. I mean, if ever a game needed to come along where the community could say, but this is ours and it's damn good. This is the only place you can play it, and it's on a par with, Among Us or Fall Guys or any of the big games that everybody's playing on all the other platforms. This is that game. I mean, Splash Damage have just literally knocked it out of the park. It's not my kind of game. I mean, we talked about this earlier. I'm much more an Immortals Phoenix Rising or a Valhalla, but I totally appreciate this as a piece of work. It's exactly what Stadia needs. And there are people that have almost been playing this around the clock since it came out. And I can absolutely see a competitive league or some other kind of scenario around this as maybe a future add-on for the game. So, yeah, it's absolutely perfect. And it's even if you're not a pro subscriber, by the way, it's £20, which it's not hugely expensive for what it is. So, yeah, very, very good.
Yeah, we theorised when we did our first look on Thursday that this is the game that would also lend itself really well to like kind of seasonal content, similar to Fall Guys. Get some Christmas outfits in there, get some Halloween outfits, get some different arena map packs up and about that are like based on either what's going on in the world. 4th of July, celebrations, New Year, like all that kind of stuff. You can just change it month on month. You can have a summer competition, spring, winter, Wonderland, whatever it may be. Customization packs in, and you're totally right, Rockers. Yeah, obviously this is exclusive to Stadia, so congratulations to the team over at Splash Damage, another Stadia exclusive as well. And again, free on Pro. So back to I think what we've alluded to on previous episodes, Richie, about this now following that Xbox Game Pass model, it would appear, where every Stadia exclusive we seem to get for free. So we've got Guilt, we've got Orcs Must Die 3, and now we've got Outcasters as well. So it's a great kind of mantra to set the tone going forward, I think. Especially, I mean, yeah, it's great for us because we get it as well.
Fresh games to play on our Thursday night stream. I'm happy for that.
Too many. I honestly don't think we're going to get around to playing all the pro games. Like, we've got 8 for December, 8 in and amongst Valhalla, Immortals, Watch Dogs, Cyberpunk, adult things, and Christmas and all that other stuff. It's absolutely
I think they're doing, to be fair, I don't think even, if I'm going to be slightly controversial, I'm not even sure that they're doing it because they want to be generous towards us as subscribers. I think they're doing it because they need to massively pad out the library. In order to kill off that one big negative vibe that says, yeah, but there ain't that many games on Stadia. They're going to keep throwing tons. And it may well be that in a year's time, when there's well over 100 games, that we'll start to see them pop back to 3 or 2 in terms of what we get per month.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is actually starting to quiet down now, especially over the last few months with the Ubisoft offerings suddenly coming. There's still a few big gaps, in my opinion, in the library. Like, there is no big first-person shooter, for example, like a Call of Duty or a Battlefield. But eventually these will turn up.
Yeah.
Oh, FIFA's still missing.
It is. Well, playing the long game, the only thing that kind of disheartened me about all this is no gaming websites really picked up or reviewed Outcasters. It's a genuine bona fide game from a renowned team, and I think there's a review from like Android Central and 9 to 5 Google. That's it. Like most things Stadia, you've got a great game here, and all the outlets who reportedly are part of the games industry, where are they? Where is there one reviewer who's currently working from home, probably playing 100 hours plus into Valhalla for review, but he can't spare, or he or she can't spare a bit of moment in her life to review a brand new game.
Because 200 years ago, when all the penny farthing magazines were doing massive business, and Henry Ford said, "Would you like to review my Model T?" I'm sure none of them said, "Yeah, park it round the back, Henry, and we'll take it for a spin." Where are they now, I say?
Yeah, 100%.
I've theorised before that the IGNs, probably they tend to have specific team-specific platforms. They probably don't yet have a Stadia team.
No.
Because unfortunately they don't see Stadia as being big enough to hire people specifically to cover that. So they probably only cover Stadia content when there's people free from other teams.
Yeah, but even then, I would still argue when Google made the step into like the mobile market with the Pixel range, it was still on every mobile review site. It was still available in every mobile storefront. So it just seems like with gaming, the journalism side of things, they're very specific over what they cover, and yeah, they just kind of seem to have made their mind up already. Because again, do they cover Luna at all? GeForce Now, like their games websites, like IGN's the biggest in the world, and yet outside of PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch, I don't even think they cover PC to that much of a degree.
Neither of those have their own games as yet, of course. I mean, we expect Amazon to have New World coming up at some point in the future, which I think has been covered. But I think the key thing isn't even the fact that it's Google or Stadia or Cloud. I think they simply look at how many adverts, how many views would we get for covering that article? How much would that equate in terms of revenue from Google Ads? And if the answer is at this moment in time, not a great deal because we've run a couple and they didn't get very many views, then we'll come back to it. So I don't know whether they've got a conscious decision not to cover. I think it's simply a commercial decision, and at this moment in time, it hasn't justified it, as you were saying, Richie, in terms of justification for having dedicated Google guys. I do think it will come within 12 months. I think we've seen it, haven't we, guys, since the big Cyberpunk deal, and also with the Premiership deal with YouTube Premium. The numbers have shot through the roof, and you joked earlier, and it's true, how many people are going to get a Premier Edition at Christmas. Funny enough, I've got a box coming, and that's exactly what I'm thinking. Who am I going to give it to? So next year we're going to see those numbers escalate, and then everything else will come. The great thing is Google has the money to build it and let them come, whereas a lot of other people wouldn't have been able to put that kind of investment in. They would have needed to have seen a return a lot sooner. So yeah, give it a year. And I just think it will be the thing. You'll see it everywhere. There's a brand new game on Stadia from Stadia Games and Entertainment, which, by the way, was one of the things that it never fails to get me excited when I fire up a game like Outcasters and you get that Stadia logo pop up. It's just, yes.
It's a thing. It exists. They are making games exclusive. Yeah. As I found it an early adopter, it's almost like a validation of my purchase.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, it's gone somewhere.
We did make the right decision.
But you made a good point there, Rock, about you kind of forget that Stadia, of all of the ones so far, they are the only ones putting out exclusive titles. You're not going to see that on GeForce Now. You're not going to see that on all the other platforms as well. Luna, obviously, we don't know what Amazon are doing with them shuttering one of the studios, and New World's still a thing, but they've not announced that's coming to Luna. That's PC. So it's kind of like
what actually happened, Chris, was they accidentally fired up a screen where you could play New World in amongst the Luna list of games. It went down fairly sharpish, but it was clear that it was a thing. So I think it's fair. And my guess is, because originally it was due to come out in October, I played 2 of the betas and I love the game. I think it's amazing. My guess is they took it down to cloudinize it and then bring it back again in the not too distant future. So I do absolutely think it's coming, and that may be a whole other thing. But for this precise moment, there is no cloud platform other than Stadia that has its own content.
Which is great for us. But speaking of content that has come out, they announced a few other things in and amongst the Hangout event as well. We got Valkyria Chronicles 4 from Sega dropping. Again, kind of caught loads of people off by surprise. This wasn't an ESRB rating leak that got us early doors. They announced that in and amongst with a video. I'm not a fan. It's just, this is a game series I don't know how it's up to number 4, and I feel like I've barely seen anything of it. And I think this is just depending on what games you follow and like. There's always gaps in your knowledge. Dropping on December 8th, so it actually comes out tomorrow from the time you guys will be able to hear this podcast, so it's available now. Coming in at $49.99 or £39.99. Either of you two big Valkyria Chronicles fans? It's had rave reviews, the game, but I'm just not too conscious of it.
It's one of them. I'm conscious of the games existing. I think it's more of a cult classic sort of thing. It's not like mainstream. I'm probably not going to pick it up just because of how much else has come on around. But I am very happy to see it come to the platform because it's something different.
Yeah.
And more different styles of game that come to the platform, the happier I am. Because I do like to bounce genre a lot. If it, you never know, in 6 months' time, this could be on it's on sale or come out a pro game, and might suck me 100% into it.
Yeah, it definitely seems like something I think Tom would enjoy and love.
I think I read somewhere that although they're bringing this one, they will be bringing the previous 3 as well. So we should get the entire Valkyria game pack. It's not, again, same as you really. I'm not aware of it. I'm not massively. I've never been into Nintendo and Sega and the sort of Japanese gaming setup. It's never been my thing. So a lot of those games have always passed me by. I've never had any of those consoles. I've never had a Switch. So, a lot of these things have just never really tweaked my interest. But, as you rightly said, Richie, who cares? The point is it's depth, it's breadth, it's more quality content. And I think the one thing that we can be absolutely certain of is that whoever it is at Stadia that gives the final nod on whatever game can come in onto the platform, they don't let dross on. It's always quality stuff for one purpose or another. And they're looking to cover as many genres and gaming tastes as possible. So, I don't care what it is. I don't care who wants to play it. I know it's going to be good.
Yeah,
I'm happy to see more Sega games coming to the platform, because we might get a certain little blue hedgehog as well eventually.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's
He's got to come, isn't he? He's got to. It's got to happen.
I mean, the more publishers...
He's done it before.
Yeah. I think that's what that just sets it up. Like, all of the good stuff, all of the good work that's been done behind the scenes. We've now got, obviously, Jedi Fallen Order out, and we know FIFA's coming, which then I think lends credence to one of our later stories regarding Battlefield and stuff in the future. This lays the groundwork for titles like Sonic and stuff from a back catalogue to come to Stadia. I think our Mortal Kombat being on there with Warner Brothers lends itself well to the Batman Arkham games coming to Stadia. And again, I mentioned this, I think, to you pre-show as well, for the two of you, that the Battlefield news we're going to talk about, we should look at every game coming out going forward as potentially coming to Stadia. We shouldn't shy away and wait for an official announcement, because if we think and we look at this as a viable platform, that we know from... I forgot his name, Jack Buser, we know from him they're looking well into 2023 and beyond now. All those games are going to be coming in and around that time. So, yeah, this Sega, great. It's more marketing, it's more games, and it's great to see. So, yeah, this game isn't in my wheelhouse, but that doesn't mean other Sega titles won't be. So, looking forward to it, and looking forward to see the community get hold of it, because I know for a fact there's people in the community who are going to go crazy for this kind of content. So, love to see it. Next up, they also dropped from a certain creative director at Google, his team over at Typhoon, Mr. Alex Hutchinson. I'm sure who's hard at work on his next title for Stadia. They've finally confirmed that the port of Journey to the Savage Planet is going to be coming out early next year as a Stadia Pro game. So again, back in line with every Stadia owned studio putting out their not owned, but the partnership deal is coming to pro title members.
There's a slight bit of irony in the title of this game.
Yeah, I was going there.
Of the month version.
That to me shows these guys have got a sense of humour. Yeah. That was just when I saw that, I thought, oh yes.
Yeah. We screwed up. Let's just on it.
Yeah. I mean, the actual tongue-in-cheek comedy. I played this game. I actually tested it out on xCloud, funnily enough, with a Game Pass subscription. Because it's available there, and I did have a strong. I've said it a couple of times on the podcast. It'll definitely be coming to Stadia. Why would you acquire a studio who've got a game that's so recent and not ported across as like your first job? It gets them familiar with the platform, the way Stadia works. It tests out their porting abilities, and it gives the studio something to do. As soon as you've acquired them, it gives them something to work on without starting on a new IP. So I think this was always going to come. It's great to see that it's not took too long. Obviously, all the Alex Hutchinson stuff aside on Twitter, it is a really fun game. It's very tongue-in-cheek. It's basically you're trying to colonize other planets. It's got loads of comedy rich throughout. And yeah, go check it out when it does drop on free. Because I think
looking forward to
pleasantly surprise a lot of people, I think. And it's a quality visual game as well. It looks great.
Gorgeous game. And they're going to visually enhance it for the Stadia edition. 60 frames per second, new features and new extra content. So we're really getting a massively pimped version of Savage Planet. I'm so looking forward to this.
Yeah, it is really good. Like I stopped playing it on xCloud knowing fine well that I'll get to play it on Stadia. Just it was like, well, why would I keep playing it there when eventually it will come to my platform of choice?
Yeah.
So looking forward to that one, and obviously looking forward to the next game that the newly acquired Typhoon Studios put out as well. And we can move away from the Twitter beef that's going on.
Yeah.
In and amongst all that, though, again, games. We got some more surprises. We got Submerged Hidden Depths moved over to Stadia. Richie, you looked into this. This is in partnership with Uppercut Games, isn't it? Which they've also announced.
Yeah, I looked into it briefly after literally as soon as we pretty much closed down our Thursday night stream, because it was really dropped on that day.
There and then, yeah.
A quick look into it. It seems to be a very narrative-driven game. From what I hear, it doesn't actually have any combat. But I know there's a couple of people in our Discord chat who are quite interested in playing this game with their kids, so it's aiming a bit a narrative experience for a younger audience. And yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Yes. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It is exclusive at this moment in time to Stadia. It is. It's following on from a previous game, which I'm hoping at some point will come to Stadia as well, which I haven't played. I have played this for a couple of hours, blew me away. It's gorgeous. The water effect is it's phenomenal. It's really high resolution. It's very gorgeous, beautiful soundtrack. And, you're right, Richie, the sort of, you go around taking photos of animals and stuff. It's that kind of game. It's more like Animal Crossing. It's not about beating things up and killing them. Yeah. I think it's kind of set in a world where, it's already being destroyed. It's kind of dystopian, and, you're kind of down with Gaia and trying to make the earth heal itself and stuff. So it's more about that vibe than it is destroying it even more. And definitely one to play with the kids as well. Yeah. Gorgeous game.
It reminds me a lot of Windbound, just like crank the art style a little bit away from not cartoon in a negative way, but just cartoon aesthetics over to a bit more realistic fidelity. And it looks gorgeous, just exploring.
Beautiful.
I want to put more time into Windbound because I really like the concept. Even though I know everyone was expecting it to be a Breath of the Wild clone and it completely wasn't. But I kind of still like the concept of the game as it is. But there's just too many games, not enough hours. This
is my fear for Submerged.
Style games, you just put something on, make yourself a cup of tea, and just chill out.
Yeah, this is my concern for Submerged, that it's coming out at such a game-rich time. How many people have been talking about Outcasters this week, but they've not talked about Submerged? And it's like, oh man, if you'd have came out just 2 months ago. You'd have got all the praises and all the streams, but that's the nature of games, isn't it? Like, the more we get, the more our attention's kind of broken up and fractured between different things. But speaking of being broken up, off the back of that, we did get the Thunderful Games announcement as well. So they're doing a partnership similar to Splash Damage and the other teams with Stadia to make a new game. This is the team that recently formed from a couple of studios. They're famed, probably most commonly known for the SteamWorld Dig titles, which we know are now on Stadia. I think 2 and which was the other one was a pro game? Was it the Gilgamesh one? I can't remember now.
SteamWorld Quest and the Gilgamesh, because that's the one I played.
Right. And 2, right? SteamWorld Dig 2 was a pro game. It's one that we didn't get.
Yes.
Because we laughed about how weird they would order them. You think they would bring out 1 and you'd buy number 2 or vice versa. But so there comes. So there's another partnership. So again, off the back of the success we're seeing with Outcasters, there's now another studio developing a game for Stadia. Probably going to be a smaller scale game, just from the experience the studio brings with them and what their games traditionally look like. But I'm excited to know that they're still talking about these open partnerships, and they're obviously open to just making deals with second party studios, which I think it's what PlayStation, Xbox and Nintendo use to flesh out their own libraries, these second party deals that bring stellar titles. Rock, you're a massive fan of Death Stranding. That wouldn't happen without a second party relationship.
No, 100%. And, that game would just be perfect for Stadia. Absolutely perfect. It drives a huge rig. There's a lot going on in there. But yeah, that very much. And of course, Jade, I've got a flipping name. Yeah, right. I mean, there are photos of her kicking around with old Kojima. So, who knows? I'd like to think that was the early seeds of a potential future game, or maybe that relationship expanding.
And next news story of the week, I wanted to get it in there. It's not really Stadia specific, but as I said, with games coming to Stadia, there's an article out over on Screen Rant saying in an EA, I think it was like a financial call or something, they're talking about the future of certain franchises, which they always do. And they mentioned the Battlefield franchise, which has kind of had a mini hiatus recently. They're going big next year with Battlefield 6 or whatever it will be titled as. Again, we're still waiting to know what more games are coming from EA off the back of Jedi Fallen Order, FIFA and Madden. So we know there are more coming, unannounced. Are they just going to hold on to everything until Battlefield this year? Because EA have came out and specifically said the next entry in the series will feature never-before-seen scale coming holiday 2021. And when I think of scale, I think of the cloud, and I think of how much Stadia and cloud gaming can help elevate the nature of just how many things you can have on screen at once. Obviously,
especially, it's something we've been talking about since day one, about the opportunity for massive instances and like MMOs and online multiplayer stuff, which we've already seen with Grid. The Grid version of Stadia has up to 40 car races.
Yeah, 100%. Which is exactly why I think Battlefield could, because Battlefield's famed for doing its like large scale warfare, like phased combat anyway, with up to 40, 50. We know EA have done that with Star Wars Battlefront as well, which I would love to see on the platform. But this time around, they get to elevate not only PS5 and Xbox Series X, because that's also next gen. So we know Stadia's going to be in that conversation, and I would just love to see Battlefield 6 come with maybe a Stadia exclusive like 100-player game map or 200, like push the limits. Like imagine a game with 500 like people and it is genuine all-out warfare. 500, as many people you could get on a map. Be amazing. But I for one love the Battlefield 1 kind of little mini reboot they did. Going back, telling the little vignette stories. Gorgeous game, loved it, played it to absolute bits. And back to what you said, Richie, no first-person shooters officially yet, so this would kind of fill that gap Stadia's missing too.
I've never played a Battlefield game.
Battlefield 1's great.
Yeah, they're all. I love them all. I don't get so much into the multiplayer, but the stories are amazing. I think one thing that you have to think about in terms of, I love your thinking on this, Chris, and I think the clues are there. So we know EA Play is available to subscribe to on PlayStation 5. We almost, without doubt, could imagine it being the next subscription service, partner service on Luna. If they move to either of those platforms, they move to Luna, that means it's got to be cloud-based. If they've been ported to cloud, it's a hop, skip, and a jump to Stadia. So I think, that you can see that that's the way they're going anyway. Let's be completely frank here. I think everybody is ultimately moving to cloud. Whether that's a short-term decision or a medium-term decision or a long-term decision is entirely down to the studio, but it's going to happen. So I can absolutely imagine a Battlefield 6 that has a cloud version with those kinds of scale that we're discussing. And I think if you're at that point and deals will be done, I wouldn't be surprised if EA Play doesn't come to Stadia at some point next year anyway. Yeah. And that means they have to port the games, ergo it's going to be on there. Yeah. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think you're on the money.
I think it looked great, and I just think EA, again, they're all about business deals. We saw the leak rumor that Google went out and paid, they've tried to give Capcom like 10 million to get Resident Evil across. Yes. I could see an EA deal going, hey, look, we're a business, you're a business. How much is it going to take to get this across? We know there's 5 EA titles coming, and therefore, yeah, you're right. Xbox Game Pass has EA Play base baked into that now as well. So they're clearly up for making partnership deals.
I forgot that one. You're right.
So it's surely just a matter of time before we see all these models. And again, similar to Ubisoft Plus, this in theory could just be like, again, you don't need Stadia Pro. If you just want to play EA titles, FIFA, Battlefield, Madden, you just need the sub. You've got the Stadia, because EA don't have the hardware. That's down to the other players, and that's where Stadia comes in. If you want to play FIFA, if you want to play Battlefield on your phone, on your tablet, on your old hardware, forget your £500 PlayStation. Just pay EA the EA sub pass. Stadia will facilitate the gameplay. You're no winner, and that's how you get the casuals in.
Just FIFA, so I wouldn't have to buy a new FIFA every year.
Yeah,
just have the sub.
They still make most of the money from Ultimate Team, so it's probably a win-win.
Yeah,
they're all about the brands, aren't they? We've got Sims. I was hoping for Anthem to come to Stadia, but they've kind of killed off the team now.
Well, they're going for Anthem 2.0, but they've just been so radio silent on it. Like I thought it was going to be out before Christmas as like a one big push, but we don't know how big the team is over there now, and we know with BioWare
pairing them off.
And yeah, news this week, BioWare, the two heads have just left as well. So
yeah,
it's going to be an awkward place this season.
I was excited by that because I actually think BioWare went downhill massively since the EA takeover.
Yes.
Because that happened during after June. I think it was like Dragon Age Origins, Mass Effect 3 sort of era, and I don't think they've released a good game since.
Yeah.
No, that's their dodgy engine.
Yeah. Ugh. But so then the creative forces behind them franchises going off and doing their own thing. It means, yeah, we'll see what they can do.
Yeah, it was pointed out to me this week as well, which I totally forgot but didn't realise, is Jedi Fallen Order was the first game to come over to Stadia. And the other games are obviously taking longer, and everyone, us included, are bemoaning FIFA not available now and other titles. Jedi Fallen Order ran on Unreal Engine, whereas all the other EA titles use Frostbite. So that's an interesting caveat to why Fallen Order may have been first, because it's easier to port over.
Yes.
It might be once they've got the Frostbite working on Stadia, the other games will come quickly. Yeah,
that's probably the one thing holding up, because it'll take longer. So, but again, they said winter, so I don't know. How long does winter last for you, Rock, in the UK? I picture running all the way through
till next July, I think. Yes.
1946 and it's still going.
Yes, started decades ago.
Exactly.
So we will see it one day. And other games we will see hopefully as well. Some quick game updates coming in from this week. Enter the Gungeon was also rated for Stadia on ESRB, which I think it's just common knowledge now. If it gets rated for ESRB, we'll see it within the next month. Enter the Gungeon is a game that I've not played, but I've heard so many things about. It's been around for a few years now. It's very much that 16-bit art style animation. Where's Tom when you need a Metroidvania style? What is it? Roguelite? It's one of those games. Running around in a dungeon and basically just shoot shit up twin stick style. Looks super fun. Love the art style. Can't wait to get this, because again, it fits into that pro category for me. If it's an indie game and it's probably going to come in under £15, it's going to be pro at some point.
It'll be pro.
Yeah, and it's from Devolver Digital as well. So yeah, love those team over there.
Good
Can't
stuff
wait for that one. Also, we should probably kind of touch on it as well, but Bomberman Art Online secretly went free to play as well this week, just as part of another announcement deal. So we've all loved playing Bomberman in there with the community. It's now free to play. So again, just similar to Destiny, it's another way to get people in the door from a different genre category of games without a sub. You don't even need the trial. You can just free to play it. It's great. It's crazy.
Well, it's like I was saying, I think I said it on Twitter, but you now have a situation where we're all still stuck at home, irrespective of whether you're in or out of a tier or in or out of a lockdown. Any of us sensible people are staying at home. So now you can literally contact all your relatives and say, right, here's a link. Go and get yourself a Gmail account. Go and download this, and then we're going to play this game, Bomberman, this afternoon after the old Queen's speech. And then everybody comes in and has you can get how many in there? 64?
Yeah.
So, even for me, that's almost all of my family. So both my mum and dad have both got 10 brothers and sisters, by the way, and they've all got 3 or 4 kids. So we've got big families. So you can all get in and play Bomberman for free. I mean, wow.
And then when they all get your Premier Editions, you're sending them for Christmas in the post.
Exactly.
They can do it on the Chromecast as well. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a great marketing move, and I think free-to-play games, they've lent themselves so well this past generation of games, with the rise of like Fortnite and stuff. Like, look how it's almost like the race to the bottom. Like Call of Duty is now free-to-play. Could you imagine going back 10 years and telling you that I will have a AAA quality game like Call of Duty Warzone for free? I don't have to beg the parents to buy me the game. You just get it for free. And then the difference with Stadia is you can do all that, but without the hardware. You don't need to tug on mum and dad's shirt and say, please, for Christmas for my birthday this year, could I please have that new console? And they don't have to then have that argument with, we can't really afford it this year, I'm really sorry, you've already got the old one, why can't you just play your old one? Why do you need the newest version? I already got you that a couple of months ago. Yeah, but this is the new one. The big hurdle is cost. And with Stadia, if it comes out and it's a free-to-play game, if you want to play Destiny 2, you just need a Gmail account and your old tech. It's crazy how simple it is.
Inroad into the schoolyard conversations to get more kids excited about it, where it's easy for the PlayStation and Microsoft to do that because they've been so established. Mm-hmm. But that's where they're going to hit the sales, and when they go like, oh, I'm playing on Stadia. I don't have a PS5. This is why I think crossplay is going to be so important. Because those who don't get PS5s this year, if they can play with their friends on PS5, but didn't have to buy a PlayStation, suddenly I think,
it's pulling people away from the kind of like their allegiances to other platforms, and I think once that cross progression and cross save becomes just the norm across all platforms, that's when cloud gaming can really, really take off. Because wherever you are in the world, as long as you have your mobile phone, and we all know we carry our mobile phones everywhere with us, we go. Once you can play your favourite games on the move, that's the difference. Kids sat in the back of the cars on long road trips, you've got 2-3 hours to kill. Instead of just playing spot every time you see a red car or an Eddie Stobart lorry or something like that, you can now play Destiny 2 on the move. Like, that's crazy. Richie, you remember playing the Game Boy when you were a kid back in the mum and dad's car, and you had to wait for traffic lights to pass by because the screen wasn't even backlit. Like, gone are those days.
I've talked about this on the podcast, but my auntie used to have a caravan in the south of France. I live in the north of England, and we used to drive there. This is why I love it. Because there's nothing else to do. But if you sit with your old Game Boy Color with the magnifying glass screen that has the light on it, so you can see.
A couple of spare AA batteries in the bag to keep you going.
Whereas,
whereas now
all I had was a copy of the Beamer.
Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad. God, I love a good Beamer magazine. I actually learned, speaking of weird facts, I can't think who posted it. I saw it somewhere. For some reason, my brain's thinking it might have even been you, Rock. Dennis the Menace.
Oh, it wasn't me, but I saw the tweet.
Yeah, it was. Oh, it might have been.
I may have retweeted
Brian or someone. Yeah, possibly like that. Dennis the Menace launched in the UK and the US at the exact same time, but with no knowledge of each other.
No,
it's two exactly same premise and everything.
Very
else.
Similar. Yeah,
very similar, and just
like
it's just one of them things. Like, how did that even happen without the internet and everything like that? But yeah, check it out.
Totally weird.
Dennis the Menace, because that used to confuse me as a kid watching the Dennis the Menace movie, and it wasn't like anywhere near
there was no Nasher.
Yeah, where's the dog?
It's
so. But
where's Nasher and
that's a whole...
what was the other guy called? But no. Different creatures.
Yeah, different indeed. With a G. That taught me how to spell with a silent G as well.
Yes.
Nasher and Nipper. I used to call him Ganasher for so long when I was a kid. But anyway, back to Stadia talk. Wrapping up this week's show, we got a few more announcements, which I do feel like, unfortunately, going to be lost in the mix a little bit. We got CodeSync, our lovely friends over at CodeSync were gracious enough to send us some codes as well, so we will be checking that game out. Fogs dropped from those as well this week. The two-headed cat dog, or dog I suppose, kind of game dropped this week as well. Go check that out. It's loads of wacky fun to be had with like a little sausage dog with kind of no legs. The wacky wavel, inflatable arm, flailing dog thing, whatever you want to call it. Explore the puzzles, explore the maps. Colourful world in there.
Like Snake Pass.
Yeah, God, Snake Pass was a thing, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that came and went as well.
They've been in a merger recently, haven't they? Or sold out to somebody, or bought somebody.
Yeah, they. Who was it? We covered it on the show, Richie. Richie frantically scrolling back through previous episodes now to find CodeSync. Yeah, because we congratulated them on merging with. What in my head?
High Tea Frog.
No, they're the guys who made Cake Bash.
This is what happens when you quickly search.
All right, we'll leave you to that one. Why you do that? What?
It was actually wonderful.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay. So the team, so the guys at CodeSync who just put out Cake Bash, Get Packed, and Fogs, and somehow now all in with Stadia. That's no surprise. Well, congratulations again. Second time round. And
actually looks quite good, Fogs, looking at it.
I'd love to know where the name comes from, though. We'll have to reach out and find out.
Yeah.
Another title to drop on Stadia again, just to wrap up this week's show. El Hijo, I know I'm pronouncing it wrong probably. Dropped as well. I didn't see the price on it though. A Wild West Tale dropping on Stadia.
£17.99.
Yeah, so see, now I'm conditioned to think this is going to be a pro game in January or February.
I'm at that point where I've got so many games to play. I'm not even playing all the pro game, given it go to all the pro games like I was earlier in the year. So, unfortunately, as much as I like the look of this game, I'm probably never going to play it, unfortunately. Just time.
Time is of the essence. But, we've mentioned it many times before, but Rock, do you feel the same way that every indie title in around the £15 to £20 mark will now just inevitably become pro at some point. So that kind of puts you off purchasing.
It's certainly been the way things have gone, and I do think it's a shame because, you know, I don't know what the deal is that they do with them. It's clearly they're giving them an amount of money for every download of the game that goes out as a pro game, and they may be saying to them, well, you know what, we'll whack it out there. But they're bound to be seeing a diminishing return on doing this, with people like you and I, becoming switched on to the fact that if we just sit around for a little bit, it's going to be free if you're a subscriber. But then it'll still continue to be purchasable outside of the pro sub. So, yeah, I think on the one hand, they can't give you every game every month. So if you are a pro sub, if it's less than 20. Then it's probably best to leave it where it is. But equally, I do kind of feel, every time I say that, I feel like I'm doing some, poor, destitute developer out of a few shekels.
I've got a feeling for the developers, it's probably a flat rate. And they'll probably go, well, if we get this, it covers the development cost plus a bit. So it mitigates the risk, which is probably why so many are taking it up, especially as the platform becomes more and more populous. It's easy to get lost in the mix.
Yeah, because again, there's obviously the Stadia Makers program as well. So I'd be very intrigued to see or to hear about what the financials are behind it. Because, like you said, Richie, if they cover the development costs, as an indie studio, that's great. You've made back all of your time and effort.
Taking the risk away.
Yeah, you're essentially back to like you broke even. So then anything after the fact, if you're allowed to maybe port the game to another platform, any sales on PS5, PS4, Switch and stuff, that's just money in your pocket. So it could be a very shrewd, safe move for the developer's viewpoint. And again, for Stadia, it's more games to the library. It's more offerings.
And a lot of these games, this one included, I mean, this isn't a day and date, Stadia only release. I mean, this has been around for a little while. So they've already made some money elsewhere. And then this is just, it's like Control is turning up everywhere at the moment. Now, 2 years ago or a year or 18 months ago, it was a big game, made some money. They've made their profits now, so they can do these kinds of licensing deals, which just stretch the revenue stream that little bit further than the natural life of the product actually deserves. So similarly here, they go, well, we've been out for 2 years, we've made our money, we've got the profits that we thought we would make. It's everywhere now. It's kind of saturated. So let's look at doing these kinds of deals where it becomes a pro game, and it, at the very least, it gets the brand into the minds of a new set of gamers, which means their next game to come out, as we've seen with the guys just now, Coatsink, for example, you're going to be receptive to it because you remember with fondness Cake Bash and Get Packed and so on. So it has a marketing twang to it as well.
This is proof of it. If Control wasn't coming to Luna, we probably wouldn't be sat here talking about it.
Yeah.
But now it's part of the conversation, so...
It's everywhere now.
Apart from, I know Chris really wants it to come to Stadia, and actually I do too, because it's a game I missed.
Yeah, it's a great game. I've completed it. Yeah.
Control's fantastic. I haven't played the DLC yet.
Is it part of the PS5 collection that you
No, I don't think it is.
It's not. Shame. But then this is back to the weird money-making tactics they did, where if you had to buy the Ultimate Edition to get the free PS5 upgrade, even though Muggins here bought the full season pass and the game day one, so I supported them. And now if I want it on PS5, I need to buy the whole thing again, apparently, because I don't get a route.
Yeah, that wasn't very clever.
It's not a good look, but either way, it's been and gone, and everyone forgets about it. Because as with games, we move on at a swift pace and play the next greatest thing. And old game's old, as they say, unfortunately. But that's just the passage of time. And speaking of time, we're running long on this show, so we'll wrap up with one final game, Chronos Before the Ashes. Funnily enough, about time as well.
Time, yeah.
Now available on Guild Stadia. So from THQ Nordic, evidently they can get this game out, but they still haven't give us any word update on SpongeBob and Humans, Destroy All Humans. God, I couldn't think of the name then. Destroy All Humans. We're still waiting on those two games and a date, Stadia. I know I keep giving FIFA updates. Been and gone, Rock. SpongeBob and Destroy All Humans were out in, it feels like the spring now, and we still, as a player base, have no clue. It baffles me that the Stadia logo was on the adverts for those games, and they've came out and gone, and they're on. You can get them on the PlayStation Store for less than £20 now, and here we are sat going into the end of the year, and they've not even told us it's still coming imminently, or it's little marketing things like that.
You think?
It depends what the deal is with THQ, but
HQ are the guys behind Control as well, aren't they?
No, that's Remedy and Remedy. And
THQ are the guys behind practically everything else.
everything else, yeah.
Trying everything.
Yeah, part of the Embrace
That's
group,
what-
aren't they? But yeah, give us time, Splitters. I keep saying for that. But yeah, Kronos Before the Ashes is also out now, albeit with their weird trailer that they put out with the girl in a bedroom.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. But it's out. Go fill your boots. Go play it. And have fun, play games, as we always advocate here at Sounds of Stadia. But unfortunately, in the interest of time, that does bring us, we could talk forever, but that does bring us to a wrap on episode 63 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Thank you for staying with us for this week's episode, and our very, very special guest. Thank you for stopping by, Adam, over from Stadia Rokks. Go check out his content, go give him a like and a subscribe if you've not already done so you're kept in the loop with everything, every goings on in your channel over there. Any shows you want to give a special shout out to in the upcoming week that people can keep their eyes out?
Well, the only one that I'm going to give a little play out to, because it deserves it, and we don't get the love, is Generation X Retro Game, which I do with Clive. Unfortunately, it's on neither of our channels, which is why it gets kind of ignored. You do have to hunt us down on Twitch under, I think it's Generation X Retro Gaming Club, but it is just such good fun. We have amazing banter. If you ever caught us, two old fellas basically talking about gaming in the olden days and stuff like Grange Hill. So if that tickles your trout, come on, watch this show. That's Tuesday nights on Twitch.
Well, we're all about trout tickling here at Sounds of Stadia, so yeah, go check that out. Go give it a look. And in terms of our own channel as well, again, don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe down below. It's massively appreciated. Gets us into those Google algorithms, which help us be seen by a wider audience. All those lovely people getting their new Premiere editions and want to talk Stadia and all things gaming, then they're more than welcome here. And the final points from us, Richie, is probably keep it locked for our Tired Eyes this upcoming Thursday, where, as we mentioned, we're joined by very special guests, Dan and Avery from Stadia Source, and Chase and Eddie from Stadia Talk, TSI Podcast, and Cloudburst as well, which is Rock's other podcast as well, talking about all things cloud gaming with a specific topic every week. So yeah, this Thursday, if you're UK time, stay up late, pop a beverage open with us. It might be energy drink, it might be something stronger, depending on what keeps you awake this coming Thursday. It might just be straight up adrenaline jab to the arm at this point, but we'll certainly persevere and get through it to see some of the big announcements and award winners at this week's Game Awards. But other than that, that wraps us up for this week, gentlemen. Episode 63. Big thank you for Rock for joining us as well. And we do have the post-show coming up next where Rock and Richie... Rock and roll, Richie, something like that, some combination. We are going to play Stadia 20 questions and see how well you can adapt yourself to finding out the Stadia secret that lies within. Thank you very much for watching this week. My name's been Chris.
I've been Richie.
And I have been Rock.
This has been Sounds of Stadia. Take care, everyone. Have a great week and game on. See you soon. Bye.